in my opinion, greatness is unique. Everyone doesn't sound the same when you're great. In your opinion, what do you think we need to do now to get back to music in terms of being great?
Well, the thing that changed it is artist development. There's no artist development now. So it's just like everybody just, getting on their computers and just dropping a song. And it's like it becomes a fad. But, like back then they had artist development. They'll teach you how to do interviews, teach you how to be an artist, teach you stage presence, teach you all the ins and outs of the music. But as far as the music itself, it could be better with artist development.
Yo, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So for all those crazy people who never heard of y'all, who ain't tapped in, who don't know what's going on, New York City is in the building. Give us your name and tell us what y'all do in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, what's good? What's good, world? Locksmiff, one portion of the collective, producer, songwriter, engineer, musician, a little bit of everything. But I'm definitely one part of the collective. Is happy to be here on the Kenny D Show.
And I'm Kevin Bridges, singer, songwriter, producer, musician, and also one of the founding partners of the collective.
All right, so let's go back to where it all started for y'all in New York City, the Mecca, everything, the Big Apple, all of that, Times Square. How did y'all fall in love with music?
Ooh. Music. Wow, since I can relate as a kid, man. Grew up in church, playing the keys in church. So I can remember as a youngster falling in love with music, just watching different ones, my elders, my big bros, different just musicians just play and the way they captivated the crowd. It was like I fell in love with music probably like 7, 8 years old is when I fell in love with music, and it's been a love affair ever since.
And I was born, my mom and dad, they're singers, musicians, and I grew up in the church also and played all kind of instruments and stuff like that. My dad his vocals was incredible. So I grew up going to his concerts. He was with a group. He did R&B and he also did gospel. So it was just in me, and I just took it from there. It was not a hobby. It was a real, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I like that. So let me ask you this. When you guys were in New York and you was with your family, you started at 8 years old. Did you guys' families kind of know each other? Is that how that happened over the years?
Nah, no way.
Okay.
I think our paths definitely took. We have a similar path as far as being a church background. I think that's what kind of connected us. When we did kind of connect, it kind of okay. You understand what I've been through as far as growing up in the church, understanding the ins and outs. But I think our paths just took a little bit differently. At one point, I was an artist myself, so it was one of those things where our paths, our experiences, kind of went separate, but came back full once we got together, kind of having that common goal.
Okay. I like that. So for you, Kevin, your father was in the music, your family was in the music. Did they put you in front of the family to sing and all that stuff? Were you ever on the spot in front of your family?
Yeah. On the cookouts and the family gatherings, he had us as little kids singing and doing whatever we do in front of everybody. But my first taste of being in front of the audience was in church, and I was kind of nervous. I think I had to be like 5, 6 years old, man. But it was all my siblings, like every one of my siblings, and my mom and my dad. So it was something that was like, into us. I didn't call my father. He was not like a Joe Jackson or nothing like that.
Okay.
But we was into the music thing. It was just all in the house, man. Like every day, my father singing, my mom music blasting. You know what I'm saying? I had the best of both worlds because I grew up in the church, but they still had the R&B in the back. My aunts and uncles come out of the house, they play cards, we listen to the music and stuff like that. You know, back in the day, we couldn't get out the room, but we used to peek out of the, you know, the door so we could hear the music and stuff going on. So a lot of that music is just instilled in me, man, and that's what it is.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this: in the midst of the church, some great artists came from the church. Jodeci, Casey, and JoJo, they actually came from the church. Why do you guys feel, even you guys, the collective, why do you feel like a lot of great artists starts and originates from the church?
Because I think it's your first taste of real feedback, right? So, you know, as a kid, like he had a different, you know, where he was singing, I was playing in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it was came to one of those things. It was like, how old are you? 9? All right, you gonna play this Sunday? I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it was the same thing where it's one of those things where they're your biggest fan and your worst critic, right? So you get that you're gonna be good, keep practicing, but they also don't let you know you ain't doing it right? So the people above you are gonna be like, all right, you need to practice more. All right, get to your chops. Go, you need to go study. Go learn the song the right way. But we're gonna have you come up here and do it next Sunday again and again and again. So, you know, unbeknownst to us, as you grow, you're like, wow, this is my first kind of like training. You know what I mean? It gets you ready for those hard interactions with whether it be a crowd, whether it be just an executive. It could be anybody, but you know, you're used to that feedback, and you kind of take it with a grain of salt and say, all right, I got to get better. And you kind of study your craft a little bit more.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this: in church, when people are singing, does anybody ever get booed in church, or ever maybe the congregation be like, nah, man, I ain't feeling that. Y'all off, you off pitch or whatever. The note is too high, maybe you too low or whatever. Does that happen in church?
Yeah, a lot. I grew up in the I started singing quartet, and quartet is like just they sit in the back of the church, man, and they criticize you. It's very in the church. I might get in trouble for this, but most of the church people are very judgmental. You know what I'm saying? So any little thing they try to critique you and stuff like that. So it's big time in the church. Your notes are off there. They, you know, he's off up there. He's off key. Guy, he playing the wrong chords. It's like that in church big time.
Yeah, they say it differently. They just say it differently.
They say it differently.
They never like, oh, you like the way that sound? You know, that's the way of telling you like that ain't right. You know, you was okay with that chord you played, you know, and you like, maybe I wasn't. So definitely they try to do it with love, but it's really with intent for being perfect. You know, they really want you to be excellent in what you do. So it's coming from a good place, but yeah, man, they definitely give you that feedback for sure.
Let you have it. You have it.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you one last question in reference to the church, the choir. In your church, you guys' churches, did you guys have to, or maybe did you witness where people had to try out or, you know, do an audition to be in the choir? Or were they just back then, I don't know, maybe letting everybody in the choir, whoever wanted to sing?
Well, I think back then it was more let anybody who wanted to sing, who, you know, who willingly wanted to be there. Now it's more audition and more, because like more of the ministry now is more, let me see, I'm gonna phrase it a different way. It's more let me say, because I'm part of the ministry too. I'm part of the praise and worship team of my church. So everything got to be, you know, how can I say it, Nate?
It's got to be put this way. They always did. They always let everybody in. It just didn't get everybody to solo, if that makes sense. Right. So they might ask you to sing solo, but just so low that you just blend in. You know what I mean? Like that was your time to get good. You know, you blend. Oh, you think you a soprano, but you're really a tenor. So we're gonna put you over here, and you're gonna rock out with the tenors and just try to keep up. But they would never give you that solo. The singers got the solos. And it's very similar now. It's still like that now where, you know, you'll definitely get willing people. But if you're going to want that mic and get that solo mic, you might get the group mic. But if you want that solo mic, you got to be able to hold it down, for sure.
You got to be able to hold your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I like that. Got to be able to hold your own. Okay. Yo, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned in to the Kenny D Show, and I'm your host, Kenny D, where we bring you entrepreneurs, hustlers, and stars. And today we got a hidden gem in the building. That's right, Mr. Kevin Bridges and Locksmith. I like it, the collective, right here, right now on the Kenny D Show. So let me ask you guys this. I really love the names Kevin Bridges. It is very strong. And also Locksmith is very strong. How did you guys come up with your name?
I'll let him go first. It's very simple. Man.
It's a God. My parents named me this from birth. I went by the name. I went by the name. My artist name used to be KB the Messenger. It was a chapter in my life I was in at that time. But now that I'm rebranding myself in a different light now, I just wanted to go by who I was and be authentic to who I was. So I just used my birth name.
All right.
And Locksmith, this goes back to college. I got this, came up with this moniker back in college. I used to go to Five Towns College. And it came with that because, Locksmith usually has the keys, right? And since I'm a keyboard player by heart, it just fit. It just fit. I just had to change up the spelling. But once I explained to people, like, I get it. All right, you play keys, you're the locksmith. So that's kind of been, my moniker for years now, and I love it.
Okay. Now, the group name, the collective. I like it. It sounds like it's a group that got a lot of synergy, chemistry. They just know what they're doing. They're on their, on point. You get dotting their I's and crossing their T's. How did you guys come up with the name, the collective?
Well, the collective, the base of the collective is myself, Kevin Bridges, and Aaron Freedom Lyles. We pretty much is a three-headed monster that pretty much came together. Aaron Freedom Lyles is like both of our mentors. As far as in this production space, he's done records with everybody, right? Angie Stone, you go down to the list. So he's been a huge mentor to us. And at one point, we were doing a lot of work together. We were just doing things, write a record, produce a record, put out whatever we were doing. And we were like, listen, this synergy works. You know what I mean? This synergy works. Like sometimes it's, KB start a song, and Kevin starts a record, I finish it, Freedom finish it. It just kept working. So we were like, listen, why not come together and do this more often? And the collective, it consists of us three as the brains, but we have writers, producers, engineers, musicians. Anything we need is at our disposal. So it's one of those things that it's kind of like, it just makes sense. If you want to equate it to like the Voltron of music, that's kind of like what we're trying to do. We really much have pieces that we can at any given time, depending on the music. Whatever's needed, we're able to kind of fulfill it. We need pop, we can write a pop record. You need R&B, we can write an R&B record. You need a band, we can put together, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, is we want to be that one-stop shop. And that's why we call it a collective, because it really does take a collective. And I think sometimes people forget some of these big records back in the day, it wasn't just one person that was involved. I mean, you had, musicians, you had producers, you had singers, you had writers, you had a bunch of different people that might work on one record. You know what I mean? And that's why we love these records, because there was a lot of influence in the room. And this is what we're trying to recreate here with the collective, is really having that togetherness and when we actually produce these records.
I like that. So you guys are a group that's a mainstay. You guys are actually staying together, writing great songs together. How come you feel like nowadays it's very difficult for groups to actually stay together? I believe one of the very few groups that may be together would be Dru Hill, Jagged Edge. Everybody else, they may not be together. Why do you guys feel like groups just don't last?
Me personally, I think it's a lot of ego involved. Everybody plays a part. Everybody can bring something to the table, but I think certain people they want to be the head of the table. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the ideas and stuff like that clash, and when that happens, a lot of chaos happens. So for me, I think that the ego is a big part of a lot of groups not staying together.
So
Absolutely.
do you guys think there could be some type of, I don't know, incentive to make the group stay together? I don't know. Maybe they sign to the record label. Maybe they say, hey, look, you guys got to give me 10 albums, 7 albums, whatever the deal is. Obviously, they don't want a 360 deal, but do you think there's some type of incentive maybe the record label can give so that the groups can stay together?
Well, I think it's tougher too now, even with big groups, because there's no big budgets anymore. Right? So
Mm,
that's another thing that kind of turns people off to even working together, because you don't want to split the pot, right? At the end of the day is, but I also think you only is your strongest link. So at the end of the day, is if so and so's a big phenomenal writer and I'm a good producer, if we come together, that's going to make a better record, right? And so it's going to be a bigger piece of the pie to get. And I think that's what sometimes people they miss the ideas to make the best music, right? I
mm,
think that's where we kind of, I think that's where we're kind of dropping the ball with groups. Because if you think about some of the groups, they break up. Everybody does their individual projects. Sometimes the individual projects are nowhere near the quality of that group project. It's because even though you might have had a little bit of an influence, that little bit of influence might have taken that record to the next level. So that's what we kind of do. Like we really don't pass anything without each other's approval. You know what I mean? So even if it's if we get a record, oh, I want this record done. All right, cool. If Kevin's not writing the record, if I might be producing a record, but guess who's going to vocal produce it? Who's going to be in the studio with me when I recorded with that artist? You know what I'm saying? So it's
mm.
going to be an influence. There's going to always be a collective influence there. You know what I mean? So I think that's where the problem lies. Is nobody wants to split that pie. The egos get involved. Everybody's talking about, I don't want to split my $10 and give it $5. They just don't want to do it. In reality, is I think we can conquer more if we're together. Instead of working on one, we can work on 50 projects. At the same time, instead of working on one project. And that's where I think there's strength in numbers, and that's what ultimately what we're trying to do.
Great point. Great point. Great point indeed. So you mentioned earlier about there's no bigger, the budgets aren't big anymore. In you guys' opinion, as the collective, you guys been working together, is there money in music nowadays? Because you hear the myth out there, ain't no music. Even if you tour, the record labels getting some of that. You right, they getting some of that. People getting their publishing taken, things of that nature. Is there any real money in music anymore? Yo, this your boy Kenny D. Hey, didn't mean to interrupt your show, but I just wanted to take a quick minute, just to let you guys know. If you want to see more dope interviews like this one, that's right, you want to go on YouTube and go to the Kenny D Show Live, all right? And also, don't forget about our website, thekennydshow.com, all right? We got you. Yo, I'm done talking. Back to the show.
Yeah, I think there is. I just think we have to attack it. We almost got to be, I think the one thing about it is you have to attack it from an independent space, meaning you have to try to do everything, right? You have to do everything in-house, meaning instead of it being, but back in the day, it was like, all right, you got the record and you waited for the record label to do whatever you have to hustle too. Like you have to get out there and work it. And that's why for us, like we trying to do everything in-house. That's why it's like, hey, let's go on tour. We'll put together the band. It'll be our band. We need the background singers. It'll be our background singers. You know what I mean? Like there's still money to be made. I think is less money to be made when there's no kind of togetherness, right? And so I think being together allows us to go, all right, while we're doing this, we can work on the next project, work on the next thing, and keep that money going. But if you're going to focus on one thing, it can be difficult right now because, like you said, the budgets aren't the same. This digital space is different. We both come from an era when people used to buy CDs, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's no longer tangible. Now you have to figure out something, how to maximize that and not have it, you're tangible. You being tangible might just be you being in person, right? So you might have to do more shows. You might have to do more meet and greets. You might have to do more, hey, check out my merch that goes with this, right? But it's a hustle. It's just a different hustle. That's all it is. But ultimately, to even get that opportunity, the music has to be great, right? And ultimately, that's where we start. We want the music to be great,
So that's a great point in terms of the music being great. However, these days it looks like music has changed. In you guys' opinion, you Kevin, Bridges, what's up? What do you think we need to do now to make the music great again? Don't get me wrong. There's some artists that are still great. In my opinion, greatness is unique. Everyone doesn't sound the same when you're great. In your opinion, what do you think we need to do now to get back to music in terms of being great?
Well, the thing that changed it is artist development. There's no artist development now. So it's just like everybody just, getting on the computers and just dropping a song. And it's like it becomes a fad. But, like back then they had artist development. They'll teach you how to do interviews, teach you how to be an artist, teach you stage presence, teach you all the ins and outs of the music. But as far as the music itself, it could be better with artist development, and it's hard to do that right now because everybody is like for self, just doing everything is quick, 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 quick. Back then, they took time to make the artist the way the artist is supposed to be. That's why back then, when they had albums last for years. You can have 3 or 4 singles come off one album. Nowadays, a lot of people are not making albums; they're making singles because everything is like a one night hit or miss. And then nowadays, it's not like that. Everybody has a short attention span, and that's what I think is changing the whole landscape of the music. What do you think about it, Locke?
I agree. The artist development, the Joe Jackson type moments, meaning like, yeah, you're not right. We got to rehearse. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is I come from not just in the church, but come from a performing background where I've done shows opening for all these folks, and to see some of these even performances now, it's crazy. People just grab a mic and walk back and forth across the stage and think that's stage presence, right? Nobody's R&B. Nobody's singing to a girl anymore. Like it's weird, man. It's like what I mean. Like there's little things like that aren't really happening, but I don't think it's being taught. I think what's happening is a record goes viral real quick, and people are just responding. Songs hot, put them out on tour, and then that's not necessarily ready for that. But it's just the world we live in right now. It's the microwave type of society. Everything they want quick. How quick can you put it out, as opposed to saying, let me slow bake this thing, and really put together a classic project, right? So, and ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. Like everything we do, we're trying to come from a space of, they took their time, they really cultivated this music, they thought about what they want to do before they did it. They didn't do it with the intention to be viral. They did it with the intention to make a great record.
Well said, well said, well said. So with the Collective, what kind of music do you guys prefer? Obviously, you guys have a wide range. You could do pop, you could do R&B, you could do soft rock, all of that, maybe even a little bit of jazz. What genre does the Collective prefer?
I'd say the one we're working on at the moment. So it really does depend, right? So we get inspired by so many different. We listen to everything, we work with everything, so inspiration kind of catches differently. I can say funny, the other day, me and Kevin are working on something. I'm like, yo, we haven't done a Jersey club type of record. Let's mess around with it. What I mean? So to be honest with you, wherever we're inspired and honestly, it's really comes down to the marriage between the artists, right? We don't want to pigeonhole any artist that we work with. Oh, you have to do it our way. No, we want to make great music. And we want to be known for, I'm going to go to them because we're going to make great music, not because you're going to go to them and you're going to be doing exactly what it is they always do. You know what I mean? I'd rather be a thing where we can do it all. We can do it all. Preference, of course, we're R&B kids. We grew up under the 90s era was everybody's prime as far as that R&B space. That comes easy, right? That really comes easy. The Jodeci's, like you said, all that really comes easy. That's natural. But at the end of the day, is good music is good music, and that's kind of like what we strive for. And that's always our preference.
I think the main thing that we do is cultivate around the artist. That's the main thing we do. Instead of like being a production team that just send out beats, we cultivate around the artist. We want to see what's on their mind. What are they thinking about? What do they want to talk about? Really fill them out. That's what a lot of the producers that I looked up to did to artists back in the days, and a lot of that stuff that I took on a lot of that stuff. And being an artist myself, if you build around the artist, the song, you'll hear it in the song. You'll hear it in what the artists are going to bring to the table, because they're going to sing what they feel. So If they sing what they feel, and if you play around what they singing about and what the song is about, then it's you get a hit on your hands, or a good song, something you can hit, play your G, you play whatever. But a lot of stuff, like I said earlier, a lot of the microwave stuff, they get a beat off line or something like that, and just put some lyrics to it, and I think it's a song. But nah, you cultivate around the artist, and then that's when you make the hits, and that's when the good music that lasts a long time.
Well said, well said, well said. Yo, if y'all just tuning in, you are tuned in to the Kenny D Show. And I'm your host, Kenny D. We bring you entrepreneurs, hustlers, and stars. And today we got a hidden gem in the building. That's right, the collective, Mr. Kevin Bridges and the Locksmith. I like it right here, right now on the Kenny D Show. So let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think that music will go back to where it used to be in terms of the greatness? Will we ever see that ever again?
Yeah, it's good.
There's music out there that's good. The problem is a lot of the music that good is not being played on regular radio, like regular rotation, because I believe like a lot of the program directors are younger, and a lot of the program directors don't have a music background. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them don't have a music background. They just go whatever is playing, whatever the fad is, whatever's on TikTok, whatever, and they're going with the thing that is now. But there's a lot of great music out there. A lot. There's a lot of great music.
I think what's going to have to happen too. I think some of the mainstream, the most popular artists are going to have to help bridge that gap a little bit too. And what I mean by like that is, yeah, it's easy for them to just put out anything. It's going to do well because of who they are. I think when it comes down to them being intentional about what they do and saying, you know what, I'm going to feed this, but you know what, I'm going to also do this. I'm going to put out this. I think that has a lot to do with it too, because it's really the artist. If you can see the landscape shifts every time Beyonce puts out a record, right? Every time she puts out an album, everybody shifts. So it really comes down to the artists that have the power and they have that following. When they decide to actually shift that way, because when Beyonce put out the project, everybody was doing club music, right? So at the end of the day, if she wanted to do it tomorrow, she could switch it right now, and then everybody would switch. So I do think sometimes it is on us as artists and producers to also to still keep doing it. I think it's easy for us right now to chase what's popular too, right? As an artist or as a producer, you want those numbers, right? So at the end of the day, so sometimes, this is what's hot right now. All right, let me make a beat. Like it happens, everybody does it, right? We get calls all the time. Can you make a beat like, and I kind of cringe because I'm like, if it's hot now, by the time you put it out in 2 or 3 months, it won't be that hot, right? So it's like you want to be ahead of that curve. So you want to kind of create a sound or create something that's going to be everybody's going to follow you. But it definitely happens. I understand why it's such a challenge because it's the numbers game. You got to play the numbers game when you're trying to make sure that you get these numbers in. So when things is certain sound is hot, everybody kind of leans that way for a little bit. And then when it's not hot, everybody leans to something else. But I think it's important for you to stay true to that good music as well.
Yeah.
Well said. So let me ask you this, because this bugs me. The artists nowadays just seems like they're copying what the next artist is doing. How can you call yourself an artist or a real artist at that if you're willing to copy the next man? I don't understand it. Why do you guys think some of these artists are just willing to copy the next man instead of create their own lane?
Least path of resistance.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. It's, this is what they like, right? And like I said, they're not really forward thinkers. And also you get a lot of, when you're doing something different, you get a lot of no's and you got to kind of push past that, right? When you're doing something a little bit different creatively, people around you are always going to be like, hey, it's cool. You know what I mean? But if you're doing something that's different and you're really authentic to who you are, you got to keep doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, eventually the curve is going to come back. It's going to come back and like, oh, that sound is good now, but it could be the same sound you were doing 6 months ago, right? I think where it is right now, it's so easy to go, this is what's hot. This was getting attention. I'm going to do something similar, and hopefully I can strike fire and get the same kind of results. But it's like winning the lottery twice. You know, it's probably not going to happen. So I think the investment should be in being your authentic self and trying to make sure that that is translated. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have influences. Of course, you know, whatever you do, you're going to have influences to whatever's out. But I think you should still stay true to who you are. And that's the cream's going to rise to the crop. Eventually, people start looking for something that's different. You know, nobody wants to listen to the same song 20 times in a row when you're driving, right? You're going to want to switch it up. So at the end of the day, is
true.
you know, you might want to change it up a little bit. So, you know, being authentically who you are, and going from there.
Well said, well said, well said, well said. So you guys have your own song as the Collective. The name of the song is called Mesmerized. I like that. What's up? What facilitated this song? Who came up with the song? Maybe the idea. Obviously, there's usually a lot of people in the room doing the song, but what came about and how did this song Mesmerized come about?
Well, you know, as the Collective, we have a really, really unique creative style, I would say, in a unique way we work. As you can see right now, we're in 3 different locations. On any given night, this is a recording session for us. You know what I mean? So like I could be sitting here right now, and Kevin could be sitting there, and we could be coming up with ideas. And really cultivating a record right then and there, because it really does happen like that, organically. And this particular record happened organically. One of our other producers, Ace Brav, he's actually rhyming on the record as well. Me and him come up with ideas. He's in LA, I'm in New York. We just chopping it up, and he comes up with an idea. I'm like, we're throwing ideas back and forth. And I think this song kind of came from a concept. The concept of the record, it's called Mesmerized. And when most people listen to it, they think that it's like a double entendre. We're talking about a female, but in reality, we're talking about music, right? So that's how the concept came together. Me and Ace were kind of like sitting there, what if we wrote a record, you know, and we're talking about music, but everybody thinks it's talking about a woman, right? And that was kind of like the bat signal we threw out. You know, Kevin heard it. All right, cool. You know, Christina Monet, she heard it. All right, cool. Started penning. You know what I'm saying? We had everybody kind of giving their input, and that was the kind of impetus of the record. I think what made it kind of come together was when we started working on the record, and I was like, yo, we got to play this Hypnotized bass line over. Like, yeah, we got to keep it, because I just got nostalgic because thinking about what music meant to us, and, you know, and I know in the 90s and early 2000s where music really was like influential in us as musicians, as songwriters, as producers, right? So I think that was the glue that kind of helped us bring it together. I said, listen, we're gonna get Monster to play this bass line over for Hypnotized, but we're gonna do Mesmerized, right? And that's how it kind of came together. And I'll be honest with you, like we didn't know it was going to get this much attention, but it is doing some great things right now. The summertime record, you know what I mean? DJs are starting to, they're loving it. They're ready to spin it for these parties in the summer, and you know, it's just so nostalgic, and it really does have that New York grit, that New York vibe that we were kind of going for.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. So let me ask you this: in terms of the video, you guys shot the video, things like that. How was that? The editing, all of that. How did you guys feel about the video?
Oh, the video is awesome. Listen, I was behind the scenes because, you know, I had a little cameo, but I was behind the scenes for the most part. But we shot in Brooklyn. We had to. We had to kind of pay homage to Biggie. You know, we really wanted to kind of get that Brooklyn feel. The record does feel so New York, so we thought it, you know, would be great to kind of go, you know, couple spots in his neighborhood and kind of just get some visuals there. A lot of people that were kind of walking around while we were shooting were kind of like, oh, okay, because it was nostalgic. They went back to that moment when Hypnotized was that joint, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do, and trying to capture that New York, that grittiness, that love. You know what I mean? And I keep saying it's nostalgic because I get excited about it because, you know, I played the record for 6-year-olds and still remember what the record was, what that feeling was when they first heard Hypnotized. But yet I'm still playing it for a couple TikTokers that are like, okay, I like this. And ultimately, that's what we wanted to do with this record is kind of bridge the gap and have everybody say, yo, this is just great music. It makes you want to have fun. You know, I want to have fun again. Like, I don't want to just be a vibe. I feel like it's got to be a vibe. It's got to be a vibe. Nah, I just want to go have fun. And this record, I think, embodies that, you know, just having fun and using music as that vehicle to get there.
Nice. So let me ask you this, Kevin. Did anybody in the group, maybe they weren't feeling the song at first? Because sometimes that happens. Maybe they ain't feeling it. Was there anybody in the group that wasn't feeling the song at first?
Well, I'm going to speak for me. Now, I was definitely feeling the song at first. The thing about it with me was when, like before we figured out exactly what it was about, they were worried about me getting on the song because originally it was about, I think it was trying to cultivate what it's about, like a female or something like that. And I'm an inspirational artist. Okay. So there was questions like, oh, I don't know if you're going to want to get on that. But like somebody like me, I like taking risks and I take chances because I know who I believe in and what I believe in and what I do. So I was like, you know what? When it told me the idea, I was like, yeah, I love music is like my life. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? So I was like aboard. They was worried about me being aboard. And I was the one like, yes, let's do it. I'm 100% behind the whole project. Let's go. So Locksmiff sent me the song. It was like, you know what? I want you to go on the bridge part of it. So yeah, so like what was like 20 minutes, I thought of something, and I put it down, and then I sent it to him, and that was it. It came to me. I never heard none of the other artists' part. It just came. It was organic.
And that's the funny thing about the record too is, you know, all four of them had four different, you know, artists on the record, but all four of them didn't really hear what each other did prior. So I just literally, me and Ace said, yo, this is the concept. This is what we're going for. Right. And we kind of wanted to organically see where they're going with it. We said, we want the hook to be like this. All right, let's go. And each one of them wrote their verse, but it's so seamless. It's like they knew exactly what each one of them was going to say. And basically we just said, listen, you know, if music was your significant other, talk about that time. You know, what did music mean to you when you first fell in love? You know, because everybody knows that first fell in love moment with your significant other, whoever you're dealing with. What does that mean? And equate that to music. And it was very simple. You know, everybody kind of was like, oh, I got it. Because everybody can remember that moment in time, how they were feeling. They would probably even remember the song that kind of grabbed them and go, I love this music thing. So it came through seamlessly. When we all put it together, you know, it was kind of like, this is, we got something. we got something here. And it just worked out so seamlessly, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Well said. So, since I got you guys here, I gotta ask you, give me you guys top 5 artists of all time in the music industry. Who's your top 5 artists of all time?
You gonna go first? You
go first. You go first.
Kevin, do the honors.
Okay. Yeah. Top 5 artists. Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder, Prince, Michael Jackson.
One
That's
more.
my top 5.
One more.
Joe.
I mean, I like your list, but R. Kelly ain't on the list.
Listen. I was keeping that.
Top 5.
Nah.
Okay.
The R, he puts the R in R&B. So R. Kelly's in my top 5 for sure. Listen, listen, we won't talk about off the field stuff, but he's all right. Definitely R. Kelly's top 5. R. Kelly's in my top 5. I definitely got R. Kelly. I got Prince. perhaps the one of the baddest musicians ever. Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, and then I'm gonna top it off with, you know, it's funny. I'm gonna say Whitney. I'm sorry, people. Whitney, she's
Who?
top 5. Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston. Okay.
So I got something about that church voice, man. I sorry.
Yeah, I got Whitney is one of my top 5 female vocalists. Yeah.
Okay. You guys got some nice top 5s. I like that. I'm a little uneasy about the R. Kelly not being in the first one. In the second one, Luther, you got Whitney Houston over Luther, but Whitney Houston is good. She's very good, very good. Okay. All right. So we get ready to play a game called Who You Got? So I'm going to give you guys 2 artists, and you guys give me who you got between the 2. All right?
Okay.
All right. So the first one, we are going to go Slump Village and De La Soul. Who you got?
De La Soul.
De La Soul. They right around the corner from where I grew up. I gotta go with De La Soul.
I know the cats though.
Okay. All right. The next one, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Who you got?
Whitney.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see if you get this one. Nas and Eminem. Who you got?
I got Nas.
I got Nas. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's more, you know, that's more my speed. That you like that was just it was such an era. He was such an era, a big era of this thing called music for me. You know what I'm saying? Eminem wasn't a big piece of my, you know, I sample Nas records, you know, as a producer. You know what I mean? I've never sampled an Eminem record. So I gotta be honest. I gotta go with Nas for sure.
Okay. Give you a couple more.
I love Eminem, but
Nas. Okay. Next one. Drew Hill and Jagged Edge. Who you got?
I got Drew Hill.
Yeah. I got Drew Hill. I just think that, you know,
they all sing. Everybody can blow. All of them.
Yeah.
Every singer in there can sing lead. The harmonies is tight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So both of you got Drew Hill.
I like Jagged Edge too. But Drew Hill.
Yeah.
I got Drew Hill.
All right, let me see. We're gonna go Life Jennings and Jaheim. Life Jennings and Life Jennings. What's that?
It's a reason why I'm laughing at Locksmiff.
Oh.
now tell him. I was on tour with him. His first album. We was my old band. We was his tour. We was his band for his tour. His first album. So I know Life very well, and I performed with Jaheim. You know, we've done the same stage, and I'm gonna say Life. To be honest with you, Jaheim got some great records, but I'm gonna say Life. Believe it or not. That's
okay. What about you, Kevin? Life Jennings or Jaheim?
But live, I'll say Life.
Life Jennings. Okay. So you like
studio records better.
Jaheim. Okay. All right. The last one. We are gonna go digital. No, let me back up. Yeah, Digital Underground and Arrested Development. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Arrested Development. I'm gonna go Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I like it. Who you got, Kevin?
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. Okay.
Yeah. Production is more musical, I believe, and its subject matter.
Okay.
I like digital. I like the Humpty dance.
Yeah, for sure. Like the one with,
Yeah, but Arrested Development,
yeah.
their subject matter really, yeah, I like.
Okay. So you guys got a partnership with Mission Control Recordings. What's up with that? How did that partnership come about? Talk to us about the partnership with that company.
Well, that's like that goes back to our mentor Freedom Lyles. He was working with Mission Control on different project. He kind of got connected with Angie Stone. Freedom is very, 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 God rest her soul. We was able to be a part of some production with Angie Stone on behalf of Freedom. Freedom's done so much work with her, and that kind of relationship was able to breed that relationship with MCR, which has allowed us to do some partnerships and we kind of work together on this thing that we love music. So it's been a blessing, to be honest with you. And I think it has a lot to. I'm not gonna say I think it does have a lot to do with that relationship that Freedom has, and his experience is brought to the table. He was able to bring his team to the table. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where opportunity presented itself, and he said, "Listen, it's just not me. I have a team. I have producers. I have writers. I have engineers. I have, so he's kind of like been the spearhead person throughout this process, and making this partnership work."
Well said. Well said. Kevin?
Well, it's been a great experience hooking up with MCR. It was just like it kind of caught me off guard. It was great, but it was great at the same time. We was working with an artist in the studio, and from there, that's when it jumped off. I met the president of MCR. Great dude, man. Great dude. And it was like from there on, man, we hit it off, and the working relationship been great ever since, man. And I'm ready to take it to another level, So we got other projects in the pipeline, so I'm looking forward to it. The relationship is great.
Okay. I like that. Well said. Well said. So today's quick topic of the show is Justin Bieber. It has just been announced that he is going through a financial hardship. He is broke after making all those millions, allegedly. What are you guys' thoughts on the Justin Bieber situation and him being broke after all these years, platinum records and things of that nature? What is your make of Justin Bieber and his financial shortcomings?
Well, first of all, I hope this isn't true, because I know he's phenomenal talent. Let's
Yeah,
get this straight, right? He's a phenomenal talent, has been since a youngster. I just hope this is not the case, because it seems to happen a lot with kid stars. Sometimes they get a little older, and it's like, they should have a nest egg. Hopefully that's not the case. I just don't, man, because it's like I'm just thinking about all the records, all the top hits, and I pray that somebody was in his corner. Hopefully this isn't true. Somebody was in his corner, had his best interest. But I know how those things work out. He probably became an entity to himself, and he probably was putting everybody else's families through college, right? Just on the strength of his tours, music, and everything like that. I just pray that that's not the case. And I hope that somebody did actually, kind of take care of him. But it's unfortunate, to be honest with you, if that is the truth, because the talent is there, the numbers are there, right? Everybody's looking for those type of numbers. The numbers are there. I just hope that somebody was in his corner, and I pray in the future that anybody, in that kind of situation, have some sort of protections, around them, because it's just really unfortunate, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. 100. I agree.
All right. So, what is next for the collective? Are we looking at a tour here in the near future? 10-city tour, 8-city tour, 20 cities. What's up? What are we looking forward to next in terms of touring for the Collective?
Well, yeah. Hopefully that's in the cards right now. We're picking up steam in the UK. Right now, the UK is really taking a liking to the record, which is awesome. So we're all, you know, if you're listening in the UK, you want to get us out there. We're open to that opportunity as well. So I think right now, as the record, it's been out under a month. It's been like 3 weeks now, 3 weeks, about 3 weeks. So it's definitely picking up steam, and that's definitely the goal, to keep riding this wave and seeing where it takes us. And we also have some internal projects that we're working on. We got Kevin Bridges' project coming soon. That's in the stages of being wrapped up as well. So we got a lot of things going on. We're looking at everything and every opportunity. Like I said, we're the collective. So at the end of the day, it might be two things going on over here. We might have five things going on over there. But ultimately, we're definitely going to hit the ground running.
Okay, well said. So, is there artists out there that you guys are looking to work with, maybe that you haven't worked with before? I don't know, Nas, The Game, whatever, 50, whoever. Is there artists out there who you guys are looking to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Well, I think that the world is our oyster right now. I know we have a couple. I know I have a couple that I would love to work with, just because creativity wise, I think it would be great. Um, I think it's one of those things where like I would love to do music with Snoop, right? Because I think he's one of the most creative people. Not to mention his legacy as an artist, but I think creatively, I think it would just be so crazy to work with a guy like Snoop. But then I'm up for the new artists too. I like working with new talent. I like watching them grow, as you might say, like a budding plant when you see somebody start. I can remember as an artist myself being in some of these shows and seeing some of these artists that are mainstays now, right? When they're on their come up, I love being part of their come up. But I would love to be able to work with some of the greats as well. So I think right now we're just open to any opportunity that comes through, and people that want to work with us, we're open to that opportunity.
Mm. Well said, well said, well said. So, my last question, well, I guess not last question, but in terms of working with artists and building relationships in the industry, is how difficult is that, or how seamless is that to build relationships in the industry? Because a lot of people think the industry is big, it's actually small. How difficult is that to build relationships in the industry? That way you guys can have synergy when you are working on a project for the collective.
Well, I think most people, like you said, it's not the industry is not really that big, right? So, just trying to do right by others, because at the end of the day, is you might work with one producer is working with the writer that you're trying to work with tomorrow, right? So at the end of the day, is really just having that. The good thing about the collective, we're kind of like a family, right? So it's really not about I. It's really about the team. It's really about what we're trying to do as the collective. So it's never a thing of when we're walking out, we can be at any event or whatever the case may be. We know that we're representing the collective, right? And that's how we move, which has allowed us to keep some of these relationships that we've had. That I just explained with Freedom. He's able to pick up a phone and people take his phone call because the relationship isn't tarnished, right? Same thing. There's plenty of relationships that we have. It's just a matter of when it's time to activate those relationships. It might not be tomorrow. It might be 6 months from now. But when somebody needs to take your call, they respectfully take your call, and they're willing to work. And ultimately, that's how we move over here.
Mm. Well said, well said, well said. So, in terms of music and things of that nature, if someone wants to work with the collective, they want Kevin, to write a song, or maybe to help him with some vocals, or maybe have Locksmiff produce for him, maybe be a feature on their track. How do they get in contact with the collective?
Well, we have all our social media platforms. I think that's kind of the way everybody moves nowadays. I don't think anybody picks up the phone and calls the 800 number anymore. But we have our we have our website, the collectivemusicgroup.com. I don't know if people even look at that anymore. But pretty much most of our interaction right now is with With Instagram, that's really, really heavy. You know, you have people sliding in the DMs. It does work business wise. Collective Music Group on Instagram, Collective Music Group on Facebook. If some people on Facebook, same thing with TikTok. So we're pretty much everywhere. Social media is available. We do have, you know, then you can also reach out to our management team as well. You know, that's attached in our, if you look at our Instagram, it's in our Instagram as well. If you need to reach out and you need to get somebody connected right away. But yeah, we're pretty much on every platform. We're not hard to find. You know, if you need to reach out to me personally, I'm Locksmiff on Instagram, Locksmiff everywhere. LOCKSMIFF. And then Kevin Bridges, the same thing. You know, you can get to him on his socials as well.
Yeah, Kevin Bridges Music at Kevin Bridges.
Okay. I like that. So, for that young boy out there looking to be the next Kevin Bridges, for that young girl out there looking to be the next Locksmiff, the Collective, what would you say to them if they wanted to get into the music industry?
Ooh. I would say, you know, a lot of patience, right? What I mean by patience, because, you know, most people right now, they're looking for somebody to say, yes, they're great, they're amazing, all right? They look for, you know, it's different age. Before it was like you had to submit a record and you had to play a record in front of people. Now it's different. You know, we have this digital space where, you know, people put up music and then they'll take music down because one person said they didn't like the record. Right? You know what I mean? You kind of have to, you're gonna have to put as much music. I always, even, you know, who we deal with, our team, listen, let's keep working, because you never know what's a hit, right? So at the end of the day, is you might think, oh, this is my C work, but if the world loves it, it's a hit, right? So at the end of the day, is just keep working. So if there be any advice, it would be stay true and keep working. Don't stop because you get one negative comment on Instagram, one negative comment on TikTok, whatever the case may be. Keep doing what you do, you know, and keep doing that in abundance. Because, you know, when the opportunity presents itself, you have a better shot. Oh, let me hear what you got. The worst thing to ever do is be in a situation like, oh, I like this song. You got anything else? And then you go, oh, no, I don't. That's all I have. No, but if you go, I have 50 more, you know. I have 50 more songs. I have 50 more beats. I have 50 more ideas, you know. And I think that gives people the opportunity to kind of really see what you're doing. And I would say just keep going, keep going. I've been doing this music thing for a very, very long time. And I would say that's the thing. The people who actually win are the people who don't stop. You know, it's not always the most talented. It's always the people that don't stop. They never give up. They still do it. It's part of who they are. And that's why Mesmerized, when you hear them talking, the lyrics of Mesmerized, it's so personal because that's the way music makes them feel. Like regardless if there's money attached to it, they're going to continue to do it. They're going to keep working. They're going to keep writing, making new records, making new beats. Like it's in them. So, you know, you can't stop. If something's in you, it's not really work if it's in you. If it's who you are, it's really not work. So just keep doing what you do.
Yeah, just I'll piggyback off what Locksmiff was saying. The biggest thing is just be you. Be authentically you. Nobody could beat you being you. Just be you and accept all the no's you're gonna get. Because everybody's not gonna accept your music. Forget the no's. You're gonna get a yes. That one yes. And when you get in that door, you just gotta work hard. Nothing's gonna be handed to you, just gotta keep going. You're going to get no's. You're going to be like, it's all right, whatever. Don't get discouraged. Just keep going. If you keep going and have that work ethic on point, then something is going to happen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So just put the seeds out there, water the seeds. Something is going to come up. Just keep going.
All right, I like that. Something is going to come up. I like that. All right. So for all those people who've been rocking with y'all in the choir when you were starting music at 8 years old, working with Jaheim, Life Jennings, your family, your pops, all of that. Any final thoughts for your fans before we sign off on the Kenny D Show?
Well, I'm just thankful to be in a space where, you know, people are really enjoying what we do. it's not been a long time coming. It's just time. You know, it's time to really kind of smell the roses a little bit. So I'm thankful for our fans, the people who pay attention, the people who hit like, people who have hit don't like. It also gives us feedback what to keep working on. All right. So at the end of the day, we enjoy it. I love the feedback that we're getting on this record. And this is just the beginning. You're gonna hear more. You're gonna hear more, just in different capacities. You might be in your living, you might be on your TV screen next week. That's just what it is, right? And we hope to keep doing what we're doing.
Yes, and I would like to say thank you for all of those that supported me, supported the Collective family. Sky's the limit. The best is yet to come. Just keep on, keep sending your love. And we here.
I like that. I like that. So it was a good show. Yo, tell everybody who you chilling with.
Kenny D and the Kenny D Show.
Yes, sir, Kenny D.
And that concludes our show for this evening. But before I let you go, I'd like to thank all my viewers out there for tuning in. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's right. You're going to subscribe and make sure you turn those notifications on. So when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And last but not least, we'd like to thank the one and only Mr. Kevin Bridges, is also Mr. Locksmiff, the Collective, for blessing us with their presence on the show. I see you next time on the Kenny D Show. You don't want to miss it. Holla.